Hi clients and friends, Mike Brady here. This week I want to start a discussion on conversions of traditional IRAs to Roth IRAs. The reason why I'm bringing this up is 2010 is going to be the year of Roth conversion, and particularly just the discussion of it. You're going to see it left and right throughout the year. Now the reason why you are going to be seeing this is prior to 2010 you had to have an adjusted gross income of less than $100,000 to even consider it. In 2010 you can have any income, $50,000, $250,000, $500,000, doesn't matter. You can convert your traditional IRA over to a Roth IRA. What is also interesting about this year is you can convert that and drag the taxes out over 2011 and 2012. When you convert from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, you pay the tax on that which is converted over. If you convert $100,000 over, $100,000 is added to your adjusted gross income. The Roth IRA that you converted to then accumulates income tax free, and you can withdraw the money at a future time income tax free or pass it on to your heirs income tax free. That's a nice thing. Now, one of the big variables is the unknowability of future tax rates. We certainly don't know the future, and we certainly don't know the future of the future tax rates. So that's a big ingredient. Would you pay, in my example of this $100,000, would you pay 33% tax today to have a tax rate, to get out of a tax rate 5 years from now at 15%? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's not clear cut. You are paying a for certain tax today at maybe a high tax rate for an uncertain tax rate in the future that may be lower. So what you believe tax rates are going to be in the future is a very, very important ingredient. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in my follow-up video to this. Another thing to consider is whether you're going to use this IRA for your own benefit or for your heirs. I mean, if the purpose of the of your IRA is to pass on to the next generation, well, a Roth IRA might be right up your alley. With a traditional IRA, you have to take required minimum distributions. You have to take money out starting at age 70 and a half. When maybe you really want that whole pot of money to go to your kids. So that's kind of irritating. Roth IRA, you don't have to take required minimum distributions. You can also pass it on, the Roth IRA, income tax free to the heirs. So through your 60s and your 70s and your 80s, that whole pot of money is growing without any tax burden and pass on to your kids without any tax burden as well. The traditional IRA, on the other hand, you're required to withdraw money from it, pay taxes on it, which reduces your total net worth, and then when your kids receive the money, they receive it with income with respect to decedents, meaning that they'll pay for it at their income tax rate versus at your tax rate. Okay. Another thing to consider is how you're going to pay the taxes today for that conversion. I mean, a lot of studies have shown that if you're using the IRA, traditional IRA, to pay for the taxes on the conversion of that traditional IRA, it makes it less attractive. If, on the other hand, you're using just either current income or you're using non-IRA assets to pay for the tax liability on that conversion, how do you feel about that? I mean, that's just something to consider as part of the equation. One strong reason to consider a partial conversion from a traditional to a Roth IRA is you can control your taxation in the future by which pot of money you want to dip into. If you have a part of a traditional IRA and part of a Roth IRA, let's say 5-10 years in the future, you want to withdraw some money, you can maybe take part of it from a traditional. Let's say you take 10 or 20,000 from the traditional, understanding that that will increase your taxes, but then you can also make up the balance from the Roth IRA. So that's a strong argument for converting from a traditional to a Roth, is that ability, that control in the future to control, what your marginal tax rate will be for your various withdrawals. Now, I think that's about it for today, but I am going to follow up either next week or the week after with a discussion of some Roth IRA conversion strategies, but also sort of some irritating spreadsheets. I mean, I basically have gone to 2 or 3 different spreadsheets, input almost the same data and gotten different answers. So how do you interpret that data? So anyway, stay tuned. My name is Mike Brady. I'm with registered rep with QA3 Financial. My firm is QA3 is Generosity Wealth Management. 303-747-6455. You have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.